Hi, this is Flash with Outside the Box. Sometimes I have to approach a squatter and see if they'll speak with me. There are certain situations where I can't just out-squat the squatter. I can't just wait for them to leave. I actually have to confront them. Some of these cases are when they're living with the homeowner, or if the homeowner has already started civil action and there's already some sort of paperwork that says that that squatter has rights. I can't lock them out. I can't go in and out squat them. So I need to approach them and I need to interview them and see if I can, let them know how their life is going to be and see if I can get them to leave on their own. This squatter, you might recognize him. He's my Hollywood squatter. He's been on TV, and here you go.
Tomato comes out and the pretzel bun, those work well together.
Let's start with your new book, Flavor Bombs, and jumping right in based on the...
I'm Billy Harris. You're hanging with Harris, my good friend Adam Fleischman and Umami. How are you, Adam?
But right now, I have a man in my home, and it's terrifying. He's a big guy. To grieve and basically get on with life, I put ads to have 2 roommates move in rooms. He answered the ad. He said, "Why don't I take both rooms?" Because he said, "We'll do events, and with these events, it's just going to pay for everything, and then we won't have to worry about anything." And because of his past success, I thought if he's had that much success, maybe he knows how to be successful. And he did not pay me, and he used my credit card and forged my signature to buy the food for the event. And I knew I was in trouble. I couldn't believe it. And I started talking to friends and actually even, people in his family. And that he had just been he was just a con man. The kind of things you think, oh, this happens to other people. This is kind of TV kind of stuff that would happen to other people. And then I was like, oh my gosh. And then I kept telling him, you've got to leave. You've got to get out of here. Because he was stealing things. He was, and the other girl who lived here was lovely, well, beautiful girl, stalking her. He was opening the shower door. He would go in her room and just open the door. He would go in her room when she wasn't there. It was just so creepy. And because, this is, I don't know, it's just, everything is so absurd. This guy never paid a dime of rent, never had a lease, never was given keys. Wow. He's never paid a deposit. And we're telling him to leave. Get out, get out. He won't leave. Right. I just end up staying in my room all the time. Or even in my car. It's just nauseating because now she's left. I'm having to pay everything off of the nothing that I don't have. So I'm paying his rent.
Adam, how you doing, man?
Good.
I wanted to talk to you.
Okay, who are you?
My name is Flash, and I understand you've been squatting at this residence?
No.
No?
No, I have a lease.
You have a lease?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you mind if we sit and talk a little bit?
Sure.
So I'm filming you because I record everything, just to protect you and me.
Okay.
Try to do this. I want to have a civil conversation with you.
Who did I see?
Yeah. How did you move into this house?
With Claudia, the owner. She had an ad out.
Okay. And you have a lease?
No, she didn't want to give me a lease.
Okay.
But there's a the tenant's rights state that even if you don't have a lease, you still have the same protections in LA.
Yeah, but you didn't have a lease. You didn't have money to move in, correct?
No,
you didn't give a deposit.
I had money to move in.
Did you give a deposit? She didn't ask for a deposit. Okay. I just assumed that you would like to own a restaurant again, move forward with your life. I'm trying to come here to civilly talk to you without my crew.
To put me on TV?
No, see, that's the beauty of it, is that I don't. As a TV show, we would have to get you to sign it in California. But being that I post on YouTube and I have a huge following, I don't need to blur anything. I don't need your permission. I don't need anything like that.
So I didn't steal anyone's credit card.
Okay, well, you're gonna have your day in court for that. My goal right now today is to get you out of this house.
Okay. Well,
so I am taking over this property. I am leasing this property, and I'm moving my crew in. And we're gonna turn it into a reality show if we need to and put cameras up everywhere. But you got to remember, Claudia's not the owner here. So
She represented herself as
okay,
doing the being
and you
in charge.
represented yourself as somebody who could pay rent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can pay rent. She never offered me a contract.
She never. So she's never asked you to pay rent.
No.
Really?
Not
So
once.
the other two people that have talked about you harassing them to leave
other two
and
people?
going through people's drawers and underwear and going in on them in the shower
that's
and
all
bullying
lies.
them to
That's all
leave.
made
So
up.
all those people are going to be lying as well?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the one girl, there's only one girl that lived here since I was here. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking about her, and she was mentally ill, and I drove her to the psychiatric ward several times. So
Okay.
her credibility is not really
Okay.
great.
Well, so I'm just telling you, I'm going to
My
run the story.
reputation is
So you can
not
either
gonna-
end
not
this
gonna-
nicely.
Well, I
or-
wanted to end
or
it
not.
nicely, but just not this way.
Okay,
You guys
but
barged
you're going to
in.
have to move. I'm not barging
I
in.
want to move.
I'm not barging in. I was a welcome guest.
You're, from my point of view, you're barging in.
But
yes.
you aren't anybody on this house. If I come in and be a squatter on this house, are you telling me that you can do that, but I can't?
If you have permission from,
But you don't.
but she posed as the person.
Okay,
who gave
but the
me
point
permission.
is that I can just come in and be a squatter on this property, just like you, and that's what I'm going to
I'm
do.
not a squatter.
You're not a squatter.
No.
You're in here without a
Utilities
lease.
are in
You
my
never
name.
had a lease.
Whatever you put up, no one's going to give a shit.
Okay.
I've gotten bad publicity before. I've gotten good publicity. No one really cares.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
People know me personally, unlike you.
Do they really know you personally? Do they know your situation?
People that work with me.
Do your 3,000 followers know your position and what you're doing and what you stand for? Okay, well, what about the video that I have of you saying, when the old lady dies, I'll give you first crack at her room?
When the old lady dies, I'll give you first crack at her room.
Yeah. I've already posted that video, but I kept you anonymous. Yeah, it's a video of you and another gentleman and another guy came out of the house right after you said it. You were giving them a tour. And,
Guy came out of the house.
yeah, you were there with two guys, caught on the camera, caught on that camera, matter of fact.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you said.
Look it out. Yep. That's my bedroom.
Yeah, dude, this is fucking nuts. I gotta get up here, man. We gotta buy a fucking.
Look at that view.
It's fucking unreal, dude. No, this is unreal. And actually, we
Before
just.
she dies, I'll give you guys first shot at the room.
We didn't have
The
fucking.
room is amazing.
We fucking were killing it in there, dude.
Right?
We even scratched the surface,
Yeah, yeah.
dude. Right?
No,
We gotta know every bouncer.
Good seeing you.
Hey, you too, man. All right.
If you get screwed over by someone you thought was letting you live there, then you would have the same response, I'm sure.
Well, and
Not a problem.
you're being asked to pay rent and you couldn't pay rent and didn't pay rent. So you've been asked to leave.
Right. All right.
What's your end game? What are you hoping to gain here?
I'm not trying to gain anything. I'm a victim here.
You're a victim here.
Yeah.
What about Claudia?
What about
Isn't she a victim?
No.
Yeah. I understood that you hit her laptop into her face yesterday. So, and I also understood you broke a door here yesterday.
Yeah, because these people invaded my personal bedroom.
Okay, so
Right.
hitting her in the face, was that
No.
part of your plan?
Are you allowed to film general people living
Of
in your
course,
house?
of
You are?
course you are. Yeah. Haven't you seen all the TikTok videos and where they just can
Without
film
their
anybody?
permission?
Absolutely. It's so crazy, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's this crazy world. We can just record anyone now. But I just want to know what are you hoping to gain? Because saying that statement about, you know, her dying and giving somebody first crack at her room.
I'm sure it was a joke. It doesn't sound like me. Probably
Well,
a joke after a few.
they certainly didn't react as it was a joke. Like, oh, cool, what a view. Oh my gosh, let me know. It'd be great. As if you were like showing off the place. Okay.
I
And
know before you talked about stealing credit cards. So
yeah, that's how it's reported. So
okay, well that's
if you
bogus and-
stole a credit card and used it, and
Stole it.
you know,
Oh man, yeah. It sounds like she has some pathological lying going on. Sadly.
and the fact that, I mean, you know, she's been relying on rent to be able to survive, and you're making it to where she can't survive.
again, she never asked for rent, she never asked for deposit, she never provided a lease, she never provided keys. So obviously I'm not gonna pay into something where I can't even have a key to get into the place. Then, and she never we were on great terms for the first 3 months, 2 to 3 months. I've been here 4 months. I know you're probably saying your show, I've been here 10 years.
No. 4 months, I know. I know exactly. And that kind of goes into the you know, it hasn't been really long enough.
It was completely amicable. So there was no...
It was amicable how, though, if she wasn't getting rent?
Because we were hanging out, we were doing these events that you just mentioned. It was completely amicable.
What were the events?
We were doing dinners here that people paid and she was a part of. Maybe your cameras can pull up pictures of her participating in these events, because she did. So obviously, what you're talking about is the last month and a half only, and that's where it turned sour. So
why did it turn sour?
Because then she started demanding all these rent and stuff, and I said, well, give me a lease.
And you are aware that all this is happening after losing her husband, and that just makes it even worse. And she's had a brain injury. She's had a brain injury.
Her husband was still around, and she talked to him on the phone, and yeah, her husband she has a kid and a husband. The husband has custody.
It's under your impression that her husband's still around?
Oh, absolutely. Unless she was lying.
And the renter, the one that says that you freaked her out and she had to leave?
No.
So what was your interaction with her?
It was cordial the whole time.
Cordial.
Yeah.
So why did she blame you for being freaked out and having to leave?
I'm sure Claudia asked her to. 100% sure. They had a dinner the other night. I guarantee that's what happened, because her and I had absolutely no issues. For my part, I avoided her because I tend not to hang with crazy people. But yeah, she's a very unreliable witness. Trust me.
Yeah.
Completely unreliable, and was never really here. And
but you don't have anything to that you are reliable and that we're supposed to be here either.
She was thrilled.
Move in, no contract, no lease, no rent. That's what she said?
No, I assumed she wanted to keep it loosey-goosey and not give me a rent, which is fine.
Oh.
That's what she wanted. I still have protections, and I still have, the city still protects tenants whether they get a lease or not. You didn't know that?
I'm laughing because
regulations.
It's kind of based on being a squatter at that point.
No, it isn't. It isn't. In fact, she never even mentioned that word until last month.
Really? So you telling her, so you coming in and telling her, we'll do these events and that will cover any kind of rent for the whole house and we won't have to worry about it? That wasn't, was that sincere or was that fraudulent?
Of course it was sincere.
Yeah, so what happened?
She decided not to do the events after we did 2 or 3 of them.
So wasn't that part of your deal? Wouldn't that mean that's time to leave?
No.
No?
To do with it. No,
so you doing the events wasn't part of your deal for coming here?
Well, there was no deal. That's the point.
Okay, exactly. There was no deal.
There was no deal.
So a tenant that claims to not have a lease has a deal. They have a deal. They originally had a deal. Your deal fell through because she decided not to do it.
That wasn't the original deal. Sorry. The original deal had nothing to do with events. In fact,
so then how did you propose moving in with no lease and no rent?
I expected there to be lease and rent.
Okay, so how's the deal? What are you telling the city that made you a tenant?
The truth.
What is the truth?
I've told you several times.
No, so how did you come in and have her agree to have you live here with no rent and no lease?
She didn't agree to it. She was loosey-goosey and just wanted me to come in and live here, and then stopped asking me for the rent. Didn't ask me for it.
So
she'd asked me for it.
So maybe she should be protected as elderly with a brain injury, and you're a charmer. That's what everybody says. You're a charmer. So do you think that maybe that had something to do with it? Do you feel like you've done anything or any guilt at all? Like maybe just uncomfortable or that you just don't belong?
Well, at one point in time,
doesn't that make you feel that way?
No. At one point in time, I mean, like you just.
I mean,
said,
I'm trying to just.
She has a brain injury.
I'm just trying to appeal to your just sense of honor. I mean, just don't you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. Maybe I need to move on.
Yeah, of course. I said that already. My plan is to move on. I've been here 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah,
I know. 4 months.
A long time.
4 months, but maybe it should have been like 3 months ago. So what's your plan?
I told you my plan.
You're waiting on a payment.
Exactly, and then we'll be out here.
So when do you expect that to be?
I mean, it was supposed to be here already, at least 4 weeks ago, but it's late, and when it comes, I will be out here. It's a Naples brand, but he's in LA and New York. He just offered me a partnership with them. He said I will make millions, multiple millions.
And does Claudia know this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether she tells you she knows it or not, like you said, she has a brain injury, but I mentioned
Do you notice anything with Claudia that would indicate a brain injury? Have you ever seen her act any different?
I'm not an expert in those things. She was very friendly and very nice at the beginning. Didn't seem like she had a brain injury. In fact, she talked about it a lot and how she's recovering and how it was great for me to be there and to, cheered her up, and she was so happy. There was a guy who was living here right before me named Paul, and she was like, I'm so happy to have just the place for you and I, and Paul doesn't have to be here, and we can just do things. So it wasn't apparent. It wasn't apparent.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a moved-in boyfriend situation.
I'm not a boyfriend.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying, if you were to tell somebody that and they didn't know her age, your age, they would think, oh, okay, well, she moved her boyfriend in, right?
You usually don't
Good
find
to hang out,
boyfriends on Craigslist.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, true. No, that's not how it happened. And that was not my intention or assumption. My intention was to pay rent and to be a normal tenant, but failing to provide a key or a lease or a mailbox key or parking or she didn't even want me to bring partners, friends over, business partners over, nothing.
Right.
And I said, well, this isn't really a full tenancy.
Right.
Therefore, I'm not going to pay full rent for something that where I'm not given a real tenancy.
Right. So in my mind, that's kind of where the tenancy falls short, is because generally you have all those things.
Yeah, and she didn't provide those things.
Right. So you should have never moved in. Who moves into a place that they don't have a key for? Who moves into a place that they can't access their mail?
Well, that happened after I moved in. She promised all those things.
But you never actually had a key to move in. Normally we get a key, we move in. So you moved in under false pretenses, just like she believes that you moved in under false pretenses. Because you're saying she promised those things and didn't deliver.
Right.
And she's saying you promised to pay a deposit and pay rent and didn't deliver, and therefore she didn't write a lease. So you both, basically this should have never happened in the first place.
Right, but the onus is on the landlord to provide the lease. The tenant doesn't come in and give money hoping that a lease will come. That's just idiot.
But when the landlord asks for money,
She never
the
asked
tenant,
for money.
she's never asked you for rent?
Not in the first 3 months I was here, as I said.
Okay.
In the last month, she has sent some weird email. She's never asked me for money either, to this day, but she sent some weird emails talking about things. I couldn't really decipher them.
I mean, I would be like
To this
wanting to
day-
contribute.
Hold on, let me say something since you're a TV guy. To this day, on my life, she has never asked me for rent. To this day. And that's like swearing. Look at that. And
Okay.
I'm a religious guy.
Okay.
So
You're a
gotta be
religious
something
guy.
there. Never asked me. Mm-mm.
Never asked
Not
you.
even not even once. Not face to face, no. Not once.
Email?
Her emails were indecipherable. So they were rambling and incoherent. So
Okay.
I didn't really. And of course, when you're living, she lives here.
Right.
So how hard is it to walk over and say, hey, where's the rent? Not that hard.
Well, no, she clearly struggles in some areas.
Okay. Well,
So-
I'm glad you noticed that. You're perceptive. I wasn't really paying attention to her struggles. I was trying to
But you know,
do my own thing.
you say you're religious. I'm a religious guy myself. I just couldn't imagine being in a situation where I'm not like wanting to contribute, even if I'm not being asked.
Oh, well,
I would have just pride enough to be like,
Okay, well, here's where you're wrong.
I need to, like, how can I help out?
Okay, here's where you're wrong. I did say that. For the first 2 months, I paid for everything. So her food, her wine, meals out.
Lease, what did the ad say? Did the ad mention any kind of rent?
It mentioned whatever the rent was. She wanted $1,900 or something, whatever it is. Yeah.
So how did it go from an ad that you're expecting to pay rent to then never giving her money?
It's a long story. I really don't want to get into it.
Right. Well, you got to understand, a lot of people are under the impression that you are living illegally and that you never had a deal or a contract and you never had a lease and you have never paid rent. Next up, part 2, the police response. But if you'd like to help Claudia or others like her that are in need of help with their squatters, you can donate, and I will provide the link at the end of this video. Thank you. Enjoy the next one. Thanks for watching.